Hey guys, it's Cash, and today I'm going to talk about the isolation stage of gang stalking. But before I get into that, I was Dear Diarying today, and a couple things crossed my mind. Yesterday I made the video about the tragic Nipsey Hussle event, and it just kind of came to me, this thought. With everything that's going on in our world that is psychological and covert, with spiritual warfare, who's to say that there is not a covert psychological rap battle between the East and West Coast going on right now? Who's to say, there's always going to be envy and hatred. I know everybody is saying that that's the reason for this, but what if there's not some type of rap battle going on that we are just not really, don't really know about? I don't know. It's just something that I thought of. XXX was shot in Florida, now Nipsey in California. It just, maybe something is related with that. But that was just something that crossed my mind this morning. If anybody wants to comment down below on that situation. But let's get into the isolation stage. So when I moved back down from Chicago, I knew that I had a lot of healing to do. When I moved back, I gained 30 pounds from living in Chicago. So with that, I wasn't very happy with myself. I knew I had opened old childhood wounds. I knew I had a ton of healing to do. I didn't even know where to start. So that right there was keeping me home. So there was a reason for that weight gain, because I am a very social person. I do like to go out. I'm an introvert, but I do like to go out, be the life of the party, and then shut my phone off for 3 days and recharge. That's just how I am. And that's what I do. But when I first moved back, people that I thought were my friends, they were acting strange towards me, saying different things. And I just I left I left Florida for a while. So I kind of just attributed it to a smear campaign, a narcissistic smear campaign, even though I thought that I was past that because I had cut off all of our mutual friends. I didn't know it was going to go to the lengths that it went, getting police involved and all these different groups involved and turned against me. So I just thought that my friends maybe had caught wind of what my ex was saying about me, and I was upset about it, but I was just well, what can I do? So that was kind of the start of my isolation. And from that, I was very confused because I didn't know if it was a smear campaign. I didn't have a firm grasp on what was going on. I knew what a smear campaign was, but then all the pieces started to fall together. But then I went through this intense depression where I knew I had all this stuff to do, but I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know how to go about healing. I didn't want to go see a therapist because I knew what they were going to tell me. So I was like, you know what? I just really need to sit with myself and work through this myself. So I hit a point in April where I was like, I have to get all of this residual stuff out of me. So I started a blog because I was listening a lot to Ralph Smart. And he was talking about how creativity, create things. So that's what I did. I started a blog, and with my intention of the blog was to heal myself. It was not to upset anybody. I did not use anybody's names. Was it a little bit on the not so nice side? Yes. But it helped me tremendously, and that was the key component to my healing, because once you create something, and get your creativity flowing, you express yourself, that frees you from any kind of mind control that you were under. Because then you're going to go back, you're going to read that stuff, and then things that happen are going to make more sense to you. So I know a lot of people were upset with me because of the blog, but when you do something to somebody and when you hurt someone, you don't have a preference on the way that they choose to heal. So from the blog, I wrote a book called Escaping Possession. So from that, the blog and the book, that is when my gang stalking really became overt. And I don't know if it was other things compounding off of other things, because gang stalking has been around my whole life. So I think it was just a piggybacking of everything else, and that's how it went overt. So there was a whole month in May where I don't think in May 2018, where I don't think the sun shined one day. It rained every single day, and I was depressed on top of it. And what all that helped me was me writing, me getting my feelings out. And then by come June, I had released everything. I felt so much better. I was ready to take on the world, and little did I know that's exactly what was going to happen. I was going to battle with the world, essentially. So in September, I felt like a completely different person. You know, this is after the street theater party, after I knew that I was being gang stalked overtly now. I was a different person, and a better person, I felt like. I knew who I was. I had a better sense of who I was, and that was something that I was desperately looking for my whole life up to that point, because it's always been a battle for me between dark and light. So with this whole process, yes, it was depressing, and it was hard for me at first, but the isolation phase of this for me was a blessing. I know who I am. I know what I like without other people's variables in it, because I was isolated from pretty much everybody. And then after a while, I just cut myself off from people. I stopped answering my phone. So I got to know myself. I got to know what I liked and what I didn't like without other people's emotions, because I do carry other people's emotions. I was like a sponge person. But without other people's variables in the equation. So to me, that was the most rewarding thing ever. And after you go through a period of isolation like that and you come out feeling better, you know that you don't need anybody ever again. So the feeling of independence and of not needing validation from anybody else besides yourself is the most empowering thing, I think, that could ever happen to anybody. So yeah, is it kind of, like sad? Not sad. What's the word that I'm looking for? In the beginning, I wasn't lonely. I was just confused. And that is the first stage of gang stalking. But once I sat with myself and, started to heal myself, I became extremely comfortable with my solitude. And I'm at the stage now where I know I need to let people in, but my solitude has become so comfortable for me and just so great that I don't want to let anybody in my area, in my energy. I don't want that. I just want my solitude. But eventually I will get out there and find my tribe, as they say. So, and they make say, oh, you're single. They make it sound like it's such a bad thing. If you're single, you're winning your energy. You have your own energy. You control who comes to you and who doesn't, So I think that being single is a wonderful thing, and I think that everybody needs to go through a period of being single and alone with themselves completely to really truly find themselves and know what they want out of life. Because me, I'll tell you, I jumped from relationship to relationship to relationship. And if I was not in a relationship, that interim, maybe the longest I went was a year, I was partying probably every day. Anything to keep myself from thinking about past traumas, things that I had not healed up to that point. So I was not good at being alone. So the isolation phase made me extremely good at being alone. Almost to the point where, I've tried dating again and I'm just like, I'm not ready for this. Why would I do this to myself? I have such peace. And of course things could be better. Anything in life could be better. But to have contentment and be content with being alone, that is the most important thing that somebody could learn in life. So yeah, a lot of stuff happened. I had bad relationships and things like that, but I've chosen, whatever. I've chosen to take the lesson out of all of those things. And that is where I'm at with that. There's no sense in being bitter over things or, angry with anybody. So I've chosen, why can't I say that word? I've chosen to look at this as a lesson and what I've gained from it. And that is comfortability in my solitude. And I'm extremely, extremely grateful for that. Now, is the gangstalking still going on? Yeah, people are still saying weird things to me, but I've elevated my vibration so much that it doesn't really even bother me anymore. And that is how I know that it has to do with mental health, as far as like being depressed and low, because that's when it comes at you the hardest, or is when you're depressed and low. If you're high and nothing can get to you, you're not going to be getting gang stalked. I mean, it's still always going to be there, but like little synchronicities and stuff, but that's synchronicity. So if that makes any sense. I know I get carried away sometimes. But yeah, so when you love yourself, and this is basically a lesson, gang stalking, in self-love, nothing can really bother you, because these gang stalkers, they can't hurt you, they can't hit you, or anything like that. So it's all psychological. So you gotta just rise above the fear, as I talked about before, and get to a point with yourself where you know yourself, and then none of this stuff really matters. But when you love yourself, other people will love you. If you don't love yourself, you're going to be very misunderstood, and people are not going to like you. So that is something also that I have learned from this process. So with that said, I hope everybody has a wonderful Tuesday, and God bless.